but I always had the passion for makeup. It's just that power of how makeup can change you. I think of it as a way to boost and empower you and educate you. I gave my best all the time. Really think it through, because there's going to be some amazing highs and some dreadful lows. In the end, we're all unique, so you are enough.
Today in the makeup chair, we have Ruby Hammer MBE and true pioneer in the makeup world. With a career spanning over 40 years, Ruby has helped shape the modern beauty industry. She was one of the first to push for inclusive shade ranges in mainstream beauty, and she's never stopped moving the needle. From launching the cult favourite Ruby Millie in the late 90s to creating her own brand today, Ruby's story is one of expertise and deep care for the people wearing the product. So please welcome Ruby Hammer to the makeup chair. Today in the makeup chair, I have the iconic makeup artist and entrepreneur, Ruby Hammer MBE. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Lana, for having me. I'm absolutely thrilled.
Oh, it was a privilege to have you on. I was really excited. A little bit nervous because you are so iconic to have you on.
No, honestly, I don't bite.
Good, I'm glad. I want to start at the beginning and take it back to kind of where your story started. So tell me a little bit.
Well, if you want to start with my birth, I wasn't born in the UK. I was born in Africa, in Nigeria. And it was 1961, and my mother was 7 months pregnant with me, and my dad had gone there for a 1-year contract, but ended up falling in love with the country. And then we stayed there for 12 years. I've got 2 younger brothers. And that's our start. So it's actually the continent of Africa, but from Asian background.
And how was it growing up in Nigeria?
It was wild and free, and it was really liberating and lovely. And I had a fantastic childhood. It makes them quite sad when people have not such wonderful, but we did, because it was nature, it was wild, it was open. We did travel a fair bit, but it was glorious. Really glorious.
And then you moved to the UK, is that right?
Then when we were 12, we were on holiday here. And at that time, I'm from Bangladesh now, but at that time it was called East Pakistan. So we were here on holiday and, shopping and eating strawberries and cream and candy floss and all that kind of thing. We didn't have TV growing up, so it was like a real treat. And then this civil war started between East Pakistan and West Pakistan. So my dad couldn't exactly take us to a war zone, and he's left Africa, so he doesn't have a job anymore. And we were here for months in a hotel room, just coasting along, until he bought a house, put us in school, got a job. And that's almost 50 years later.
Wow.
So this is now home. This is our adoptive home.
How did that feel when you kind of came here for a holiday but didn't realise that you wouldn't be returning?
Well, it's a complete shock to your system, because if you think of Africa, where it was all hot and built up and natural, and then here it's the cold. I think it's the freezing cold that really got to us. But also, we spoke English. We did. But there's a cultural adjustment. You have to do like at school in Nigeria. If you didn't speak English in the school, we got caned.
Really?
You were literally put your hands out and woof.
Wow.
And so this kind of discipline and things. And I went to a comprehensive school in Putney, and they would talk back to their teachers, and then I'd be like, so there's lots of physical adjustments you have to make, but also cultural adjustments you have to make. And we as human beings are adaptive, and this is our then adoptive country. So we blended in, tried to, without losing your identity and your background and your culture, but we tried to fit in.
And then how was it growing up in Putney then after that?
Again, it was a different upbringing, because this is now your formative years. So you're starting to choose your subjects for doing your O-levels. So, I'm showing my age again. I don't know what the equivalent is now, but it was that. I had to choose the subjects and do this. And mine was a co-ed school, so it was a mixed school. I've always gone to a mixed school, whereas my brothers both one went to a grammar school, one went to another one, but it was a boys only. But it's all that adapting to them saying, what pop star, do you like David Cassidy, or do you like Donny Osmond? And I'm like, who are they? Because, we were used to listening to James Brown and Motown on those radio stations, or Bollywood film music. So you had this, and I'd be like, They go, do you like the roller? Do you like Bay City rollers? And you just have to, but you have to just say,
It's an
not pretend
adjustment.
you know what you don't know,
Yeah.
but also be kind enough. Friends took you in and go, no, this is what this is what and then you kind of adapt and make your choices as you're going along. But that's what most teenagers have to do anyway. You know, it just meant that
It's part of
our
growing
bearings
up, isn't
have
it?
changed. That's all.
And you didn't actually study makeup to begin with, did
No,
you?
never.
So what
I'm an economics graduate.
I was
I've
gonna
gone
say,
up
it
to
was the
university
economics.
and I have got that because I wanted to be a doctor like my father. But when we were picking those O-level subjects, I saw that the only subject I really loved or was any good at in the sciences was biology. So I thought, my God, how are you going to do this? And it's just the first run of the ladder. And then I changed to social sciences, and then I did my A-levels. I went to university, and it's only after university that I got the opportunity to be a assistant. But I always had the passion for makeup.
Is that kind of where the pivot happened between kind of economics to makeup? Was that the
No,
pivot?
because the love for it is there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I loved fashion. I loved makeup. My mum was a young woman, so I saw her experiment with lashes, with wigs, with how she would be a housewife of 3, and yet after she'd shower and put on the and you see how that transforms you. So that is in there, but I never thought of it as a career that this is, because it didn't exist in that time anyway. So I would just look at magazines, and my Saturday job was in Harrods. So I got my discount to be able to buy Bieber makeup, Stage Light, Miners, Miss Selfridge across the road. So you do what any teenager does. You're fashion conscious, you experiment with your makeup, but it's not something I thought that, I'm going to be a makeup artist. It didn't exist like that in those days. You had hairdressers and photographers, and a lot of makeup models did their own makeup on some of their shoots. And then slowly behind the scenes you saw, this is this makeup. And then I'd check the credits. Who is that? So it's just interest. It wasn't a set path. And then by fluke, when I got the chance to assist, I grabbed it, and then that was it. Haven't stopped since then.
Do you think, because you mentioned about watching your mum get ready, do you think her kind of the youth and style influenced how you do your makeup now?
Totally. It's just that power of how makeup can change you, and you put on a persona. My mum didn't just stick in a rut. She would do eyeliner, lashes, this short wig, this big thing at the back. Sometimes, she adapted it. Sometimes it was Western clothes, sometimes it's our Eastern clothes, but she wasn't boring with it. Do you know what I mean? So I have that. When you look at a magazine, I'd say, oh gosh, that's a very blonde. How do I adapt that to me? So I would experiment, and I would always do. And my school allowed makeup, and I would get up first so that I could shower, wash my hair, and then I'd spend the time doing my makeup, and it was completely different every single day. What I wore, how I put my face forward, and it was never the same look.
And what did that mean to you, like changing up your look every day and doing something different?
It was just my exciting, my way of...
Was it a confidence thing, or was it...
No, I wasn't unconfident, and it wasn't I was hiding behind it. It was a chance to...
express yourself.
Exactly. It's just another way of how you dress. I was clever at school. I wasn't a dimwit that I thought, I'm not going to get a job and this is the way. No, it was just another facet to my personality that I expressed in the way I was able to.
And it's a way of expressing yourself so much, and
it's very empowering. It's very empowering, and that is what I believe to this day. Even me as an artist or as a brand founder, is that I try not to use it in a negative context of, you go on about, this feature is lacking, that isn't good, this isn't that isn't that. I think of it as a way to boost and empower you and educate you, because there's some things when you haven't slept, especially if you're talking to someone older now, if you're going through the menopause, which I'm at the tail end of, but to say a little bit of concealer or putting an eye mask on beforehand can just sort of give you a little help,
Yeah.
not hide behind it all the
It
time.
makes you feel good as well.
Yeah,
Even
and-
like your nighttime rituals or what you do in the morning, they set you up for a good night's sleep
Exactly.
or getting up and feeling good.
Any of those things are they're tied to your well-being. They're tied to that bit of me time. It's not about being self-indulgent or I'm just full of myself. It's actually good. You put your best you forward. And as a makeup artist, I've always concentrated on skin. So it's not about hiding or masking anything. If you don't take care of your skin, meaning whatever you've put on in the day, if you don't remove it at night, if you don't protect it at the day with SPF or this or that, or take care of your body, bathe, you wouldn't dream of not brushing your teeth, would you? So it's the same kind of ritual that's about hygiene and
Self-care.
well-being and self-care, and then it has the side effect of actually bolstering you up. And when days you don't feel so good but you're doing it kind of fake it till you make it, that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
exactly.
It has no downside unless you look at it as though I'm less of something because my this features don't look like that.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that.
I've said this on another podcast, I think, but there's an element to makeup where even if you feel poorly, you put on a bit of makeup, suddenly you kind of feel a little bit better.
It just does.
It just does.
You don't have to go out and say, sometimes you feel poorly and because you've made a bit of an effort with makeup, people think you look fine. They go,
Yeah.
oh, you look lovely. And you think, oh gosh, okay, it's good.
Yeah, so then I feel lovely.
Yeah. And then there are some days where your skin actually looks good, or you've been on holiday, or you've got a bit of a tan, or you've been exercising, or whatever it is, you look good, and then you don't need as much.
Yeah.
But either or, I like this having a choice and then implementing that choice.
Definitely. So talk me through your first ever makeup job and how that kind of came about.
Oh my God, it's so far back I can't remember. So it was just, I was an assistant. So in that I had to help her, she was very, very accomplished. She did shows, she did editorial. And you've got to think this is good 40 years ago where there's no social media and it's not that kind of digital. It was all proper cameras, so if you were on a shoot, whether it was in a studio or a location or a fashion show or advertising, whether there was stills or TV commercials, there are different aspects of it. I just had to I learned on the job because I'm not formally trained. I didn't go to makeup school like Lisa Eldridge or, Charlotte Tilbury going to Glauco Rossi thing. But I have a connection with them in that Glauco Rossi, when I was always been a bit of a tomboy. So in Africa, I was always graze my knees. My nickname was Mowgli because I was like the Jungle Book boy. I was like that because I was so skinny and dark. People were meant to have siesta and I'd be out on my bike rollicking away. So when I was coming up to 16, my mum gave me a present, and it was a 20 Saturdays going to Glauco Rossi's place, and it was near Bond Street somewhere, and it was to give you like lessons how to do makeup, how to sit in the car, how to be a bit more ladylike, a bit more, not so. And funnily enough, she used to teach us makeup, and she had to do half our face, and then you had to match the other half.
Oh, okay.
And then years later, I realised she was the one that Lisa and Charlotte and people, other than sort of then later on learning those basic skills from Glauco Rossi, then going on to assist people like Mary Greenwell or this one or that one. But so there is a nice connection
that's
there.
lovely.
But not going to school to learn makeup.
Yeah.
I learnt on the job.
And do you think that first time assisting was where you thought, this is what I want to do?
No, I don't think you know that.
Really?
How can you know that the first time you do something?
Yeah.
This is my career. It's not like that. It was literally, I just had to get through the day, because it was in the barracks in Chelsea Barracks, which is where the shows used to be in those days. And it was like a really early morning start. And you're just sort of there going, okay, what do I do? It's not like I knew what to do. I just had to keep my eyes and ears peeled, not get in her way and help her. So I did the list for the models. I'd go and check, and I'd get this one and say, this one hasn't had a lip, bring her this. And I couldn't then automatically just go and do her look. It wasn't that.
Yeah.
So you just had to finish it. And then she said, no, that was really good. You were a very organised one. And then in a couple of days, we've got this other job, and it was something else. And then gradually it means I became one of her first port of call assistants. So you just keep sharp.
Yeah.
And then when there's a bit of a gap, you'd say, why did you do it like that? Or how do you do that? And then she might explain, she might not, pick up like that. And then gradually, I suppose my dad was probably thinking, oh, she's going to go and do a master's or something. And I'm thinking, no, I don't think I'll be doing that. I'll be doing,
Something a bit
I think
more
I'm going to be
creative.
doing this.
Yeah,
I'm going to try to do this for a while. And I never actually changed course and got a full-time job or did anything else. This is what I know. And then I just assisted more, tested more. Then you had to find an agent. And then my makeup artist, her name was Francine Schiffer, she'd give me lesser jobs, like she got better ones. And then she'd say, oh, no, Ruby can do that. And I was like, yeah, because it was more money than I'd ever earned.
Yeah.
And it just goes on from there. You get an agent, some are editorial jobs, some are this, some are that.
But you've gone on to work with amazing brands and magazines like Elle and Vogue.
Over the years, yes. It didn't
Yeah.
start like that.
No.
It was probably like More magazine and little whatever. I would sometimes the jobs you weren't paid for. You just did it because I'm not doing anything, so I might as well go
And it's a foot in the door, isn't it?
I did so much, and it's kind of quite hard now. Sometimes you look at the youngsters now, they're a lot more privileged than we ever were, and then they sort of, oh no, I can't do this, I can't do that, and I'm like, God, you have no idea what we did.
Yeah.
And we weren't treated like slaves or anything like that, but you were willing to do, there was none of these, oh, I'm only working 4 days and I'm working from home or I'm not. We did everything. And that's not a judgment, but it is the way it was.
Yeah,
so if
definitely.
you weren't willing to do that, you wouldn't get anywhere.
What would you kind of say to the young people wanting to start out now that want to get into this kind of industry?
It is way more, it's always been a competitive industry, and it's way more competitive, but you've also got a lot more choices than we had, so just looking at social media and the digital world and how you can set yourself up. You don't have to have a portfolio, you don't have to have an agent. You can have an Instagram account or you have a website and you can do that. People like, oh, I specialise in wedding makeup in this area, and you can get that. I just do lashes, or I just, there are many, many things, whereas before when I started, you'd either, you'd have to work for the BBC or you hopefully get in with a good agent. It was just editorial stuff or ad campaigns. But now the world is your oyster. So there are many, there's red carpet, there's film, there's TV, but
many areas.
There's sometimes we had to work on other people. Now you've got people, they're makeup influencers and they just do themselves.
Yeah.
With every brand going, but they have never done 50 other people.
It's a
of
self-taught
age of this
thing.
or that. They just do themselves and they're genius at doing it. Ask them to do somebody quickly like that. They have no clue. They haven't got the skills. But in the end, they're just different skills.
Yeah.
And different ways to make
nowadays, makeup isn't just on a magazine or in anywhere. Do you know what I mean?
It's very varied and you can make money and get your name out there in lots of different ways. So it's still competitive. So anywhere there's competition, you're going to have to showcase yourself a bit better. You're going to have to put in the hours a bit more. That never stops.
No.
That bit of having to work, that bit of having to
Yeah.
put in the time,
And
having
I
the
think
discipline.
it's the willingness as well. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes to do it. Because if you don't want to do it, someone else will.
100%. But also, you can't fake the passion. So you've either got it. So whatever field it is you're in, you can't fake the passion.
Yeah.
You don't learn that in a book. You can learn the skills, you can learn the technique, but the love of it comes from within you.
So what kind of challenges or inspiration came from working with magazines like Vogue?
The challenges is getting the job to begin with. Like if you're lucky, if you've got it. It's always inspiration because it's like the photographers you're working with or whoever that model was, or there's teamwork, the stylist and the hairdresser and who the art director. So that there is all of that, and you are given a brief and then you express your part of it. So it was always exciting and inspiring. And then there are people who look at that and then they think, oh, I loved how you did that skin there, so I'm going to book you for a skincare campaign from how that looked and that beauty. Then you make your money. On editorial, we didn't make that much money on the Vogues and L's and whatever. But from the back of that is like, I remember doing a beauty for British Elle, and then Carita, which is a French skincare brand, must have seen it. And then I did like a week's advertising in Paris because they booked that photographer and they wanted the makeup artist that did that with him. And he stood up for me. He goes, no, she's not in Paris. She's in London. Can you come? And that's what they wanted. And then we made advertising rates. So it's all, you know, step by step what building. There's no such thing like there's a laminate and I followed there. I'm going to go to that goal with it. You do, and then opportunities come, expansions come. Then you know, then I got a French agent, so you get a bit more. You know, it could be for French as opposed to British. It's just like that. You put one step in front of the other, and grab whatever opportunities came your way.
It's really exciting when you start traveling with work as well, isn't
Yes.
it? Like you get to travel the world and go to different places.
And that didn't happen right initially either, because I had a little girl right from, you know, my daughter was born in 1986 and I started makeup like an assistant in 85. So it was really until she was 5 years old and she was going to school that I did my first trip for British Elle, and it was to St. Lucia.
Wow,
and
that's a
then,
good one.
you know, you kind of, you know, at that time my mum was alive, so my mum was a big help. My husband was a big help at the time, and I never had a nanny, but I had an au pair. So there was some sort of routine for my daughter, but also I could then do some stuff on my way. And then, yes, it took me short trips. You know, it could be just to Camber Sands, Brighton, or it would be to exotic, lovely, lovely locations to shoot either editorial or advertising or whatever. So yeah.
Do you have like a BTS moment that still makes you smile, like a specific one that you can
Look,
think
if
of?
it's 40 years and there's too many to just pick like that, because there are just so many good ones.
Yeah.
You know, like when it's the first time you're going to Kenya with a photographer, Hans Feuer, that I, you know, like, oh my God, I've heard of him. You know, he's passed away now. There's things, all this, you know, I'm going to be with Elle, and this is a beauty story, and we're going to go, and every day is going to be, one day is going to be Cindy Crawford, the next day is going to be Gail Elliott, then it's going to be Daniela Pestova, then it's going to be Eva Herzkova, then it's going to be this, and it's going to be that. So there's not one little thing that you can just say, oh my God, that stood out from nothing, you know, from everything. Everything was exciting and good, and that kept my enthusiasm.
Yeah,
going.
and it keeps you, even though you could have long days, because I know
it is very long day, especially at the hot locations where everyone thinks, oh, that's just so glamorous, and you're like, well, you don't know how you got there. And then usually with makeup and hair, we are the first ones up, because you have to get them ready for when that photographer wants to be at first light or whatever it is, depending on the style, what they want to do. And then we're usually the last ones down, you know, like it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work, but I wouldn't swap it. It's the nature of our work. So that's what you do.
And I think the excitement just keeps you going.
It just keeps you going, exactly.
But like you said, you've worked with like Cindy Crawford, Kate Moss. Did you realise at the time kind of how major that was? Because that's
it was
big deal.
It's only now when you step back that people realise, oh my God, that was a supermodel era. But it was the 80s and I was in it. So it's not like I'm stepping back from myself. You're just doing it, and you'd be doing a show with them, or you'd be doing editorial. And then if you've met them, you know, like I've never actually made up Linda Evangelista, but I'd see her at shows, but I did the others, you know, I did Krista Turlington, I did Kate, I did Naomi, I did this thing. Then like Cindy, I never did in a show. I always did her for editorial, and I did the makeup for her first exercise in the video in her red swimsuit that she'd reshot many times, but we were in St. Bart's for this shoot, and then everyone else was having lunch, and then they just said to me and the hairdresser, can you make sure Cindy's going to change into this red swimsuit and do that, and we've got to do this cover, that's part of the deal, that's how we've got her to come to do our shoot for Elle, so you're going to have to. So we had no lunch, we just had to get on and do that. And then it was a super successful video. And I haven't done inside, but I did the cover. And, you know, we weren't paid for that. It's the way it is.
Yeah.
But it was lovely to have
experienced
it.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and we were in St. Bart's, for God's sake.
Yeah.
With a great photographer.
That helps. Yeah. Is there a shoot or a cover that you've done that makes you think like, that is my best work?
No, because you do your best work every time you
Yeah.
try. You don't set out to do a
Or
shit
one
work,
that you're
do you?
like really proud of?
No, there's loads of them. There's loads. Like that first time you do Christy Turlington, it was like I think it was a year 2000, and it was like a metallized thing for Marie Claire. But there's a lovely one, that L one, where there are all these 5 models were on the cover, you know. There are Beauty, where I'd shot in India, and it was just the way he'd shot it, and instead of using red, I used it under the eye. There's 2. You can't just say there's one. This is it.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
And like I say, I've had a 40-year career. It's even harder to
It's like trying to pick your
nail
favourite
it.
film, isn't it? You just can't.
Favourite film or favourite child. It's like in all of them, you give your all. You do it all. So you don't set out to think this is. Sometimes you think this is going to be the best thing ever, and it don't work out that way. Or some other times you had no big expectation and it came out wow. So no, I gave my best all the time.
Yeah.
I tried, you know, but I'm only human, so if it didn't pay off like that, it wasn't for lack of trying.
So you obviously also helped launch a lot of brands, but was it 1996 that you launched Ruby and Millie?
Yes. So prior to that, you know, like me and my ex-husband, we launched Aveda to this country, Tweezerman, L'Occitane. There was a brand called Mr. Mascara. So there's lots of things I've done back of house. And then Ruby and Millie in the 90s was the first big inclusive range, especially partnering up with somebody like the high street giant Boots. We launched in Harvey Nichols and Selfridges so that that brand could hold its own against Chanel, Yves Saint Laurent, all these other big brands, and yet it was in the larger Boots brands after the exclusive period was gone, and it included things that looked wonderful packaging wise but formula wise, and because we couldn't afford those supermodels of that era, me and Millie were the face of the brand itself. So we did the work on the brand and we were the face of the brand as well. I think it's only now, 25 years later, when you think about it, that people still talk about it with a lot of love and affection. When I go to an event or something, some of the younger influencers and they don't probably realise, but then suddenly they'll hear you and they go, oh, my mum used to love that. That was the first bit of lip gloss she wore. And I think, okay, I'm showing my age now, but thank you. And there's still that reverence for it. Yeah. And again, you do the best you can, but also Millie's white. She's younger than me. I've got brown skin, Asian, but I was older, and also it was representative. It was technically like I had to do the best thing we could without having astronomical prices, but that anybody could use, of what age, what colour, and because it was available on our high streets across the UK, and then it went to Japan and Thailand, Tokyo, Taiwan, places like that, that you realise how widespread it was. And there's still people copying that concept that we just did the best we wanted to do out there, you know.
Do you know, it's funny you say that about people mentioning it and saying about their mum, because the exact thing happened to me the other day. Is that I said to my mum, oh, I've got Ruby Hammer coming on. And her face lit up and she said, Ruby and Millie. And then she said exactly the same as
but they would have remembered that, and then they would have remembered, you know, like I've done quite a lot of things where there were makeup artists that were back of, you know, some people like Pat McGrath that people don't know of now, but she never did like daytime telly. I would do everything that was different. I just thought, they go, would you do this? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So I would do it. So I did TV work, and that got sort of, then you get the brand, because I knew I can't buy that kind of advertising, so I might as well do 10 years younger, and then people see me use it. But I used other stuff always. I've never just been the person that just is my brand and I'm paid for this brand and this is all I'm going to do. It's always been as an artist, as a jobbing artist, so my kit has everything, whether it's expensive, cheap, or what's the latest, what's not, some tried and tested ones that I'm never going to get out of my kit. All of that is in there, and that's part of it, that people could see you on telly or they could buy the product out there, and it's got close to their heart, which is lovely.
And you did quite a bit of TV work, but you were also kind of launching had Ruby and Millie at the same time. You had a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, because people think before 10 years younger that that's all you've done. I said, no, I did Close Show, I did Star Challenge, I would be on This Morning when it was Richard and Judy, you know, like you'd film some bits and then you'd be on live some bits, Lorraine, all kinds of things over the years. We've done lots and lots of things. And if the opportunity arose and it would align properly, I chose to do it.
Yeah.
So,
and what about the creative process of launching a brand? Like, what part of that do you enjoy?
I enjoy the first bits of actually the colour and getting the formula and looking at the packaging, but there's other bits of it that is not as is challenging. It's not as much fun for me because I don't know it as well. But you know, like compliance, what the law is, what you have to put on the packaging, how. So not that is it vegan formula, which it is, and mine is cruelty-free vegan and all this, but you have to have on the packaging the legal things, and then now it's so complicated because things in America are different from the Far East, things in the Europe are different for us than we are in the UK. That compliance, then there is the commercial parts of what's the minimum order quantity. So everyone thinks, oh, I've just created this. It's not like that. You're going to have to be able to buy that from your manufacturer. They only have a minimum order quantity. I might not be able to afford to fulfill that full order. But if I don't, I'm not going to get that product. How to push that? They go, oh, we've just got this, and you want to tweak it and push them a bit further. And that part I like, the actual hands-on bit of that. But there's other parts of all that is not as much fun.
Yeah.
But it's got to be done because you put the whole thing. And, you know, like I'm very fussy about things have got to look good. I don't like just gimmicky gadgets for the heck of it. And I like things that are tasteful and fun. You know, I've got a very strong ethos. I'm not very flowery in this colour, that colour. Good logo. What does it say? How clear is it? You know, and I do believe that things don't have to cost a second mortgage to put those products on you.
Yeah.
I just think, you know, and I don't shout from the rooftop, this is clean, this is clean, this is, because there's no global definition of what is clean. So what you're shouting, is everything else dirty? It's not. You need to, you know, a lot of them do.
Yeah.
But they stand on that bandwagon, and I'm as clean as I possibly can. And I'm a small brand founder. I'm independently funded. So I have to do what I can because it costs a lot of money if you want to go that full route. And then there are bigger giants in there that have been brought to their knees because it's not sustainable. So I do have as sustainable packaging as I can. It's more recyclable, it's reusable. And I do what I can. The formulas are there. Hopefully they shouldn't harm anyone. But if you're allergic to something, it doesn't matter how clean you are. You might be allergic to one particular ingredient, that's it.
Yeah.
So all shouting clean, clean, clean isn't going to do anything.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, because somebody is allergic to that lavender oil, you know.
Yeah. And obviously you spoke a little bit about inclusivity with Ruby and Millie. How important was that for you at the time?
Extremely, because how could we be the face of the brand? And then there was a time, and it was quite funny, there was no foundations to match my skin tone. I'm like, hello, you've got up to there. And it wasn't the time of how it is Fenty and now where you've got 50 shades of foundation and same and concealer and this and that.
Wasn't as spoke about as it is now.
It wasn't like that at all. And I was like, how can I be the face of it? And I haven't got a bloody foundation that I can put on my face. So we had to, you know, we had to fight and said, sorry, all right, we haven't got that. It was about, I think it was 12 foundations or 10. And I had to push it to 12 and I barely made it there, you know. So that it was dark enough on my skin, but then a couple of shades darker as well. So not the full spectrum that it should have been and could have been, but we did what we could. Anything else you could have used. Anybody of any shade in the lipsticks and the nail polishes in the eyes, cheek, because we did not just the colour, but the texture and the way it was, you know, like our cheek colour ones. The way they could be used was novel. The lip gloss in a pen with a clicky back, you know, there were lots of new, innovative ideas, but also that appealed to a broad mass audience. Yeah. And it was, in those days, Pat McGrath didn't have her line. She used to use some of ours in her shows and her this and that. And we were like, wow, that's freaking Pat McGrath. You know, like when we'd send her stuff, we'd do that. So it's that kind of kudos, you know, like somebody once said there was a nude lip gloss or something. They said Madonna. And I said, no. And the way the PR had done it was as though I'd made Madonna up using that. And I said, no, I've never made her up. You need to clarify this. But she uses our nude, and she used to buy like 12 at a go so that she could have it from this bag, that bag, this show, that show.
In
this
every
show.
handbag.
Yeah. Or every place that she would be, you know, at her heyday. So I said, look, you need to be clear. I haven't made her up, but her artist or her, this, the one she likes.
Was it 2008 you decided to take a step away from the brand?
Something a bit like that is where we've had, it's like any commercial, any relationship, there's always, it's got to satisfy both parties. And somewhere it wasn't working for them, and it certainly wasn't working for us. So instead of sitting there slagging everyone off, we took the higher ground, which I think they were quite shocked at, that we thought, okay, we're gonna down tools now, because we did merchandising, we did the training, we did the PR, we did the formula, we did it all. They were our retailer, and they were the fund behind it. They, you know, it wasn't owned by us, it was owned by them. But comes a point where you think you're not brand building and nurturing anymore. If, God forbid, I wish they'd had that vision, even if they didn't like us, because we actually did good with the brand, to say they would have had all these kind of things that you hear about now. Oh, Hailey Bieber's got this £1 billion, $1 million brand. They could have owned that because they owned it. They could have taken that globally, gone there, but things happen. Yeah. And then we decided to step down.
How hard was that kind of coming to that decision?
It was quite hard. Yeah. It didn't happen in a whim. We weren't throwing a baby tantrum, throwing a rattle out the pram. It was very well thought out. And we thought, you're probably never going to give us that satisfaction, because it had to be either you had to be remunerated financially, or you have to have artistic something, you know, like, and then the commercial part. So it's like a marriage disintegrate. It doesn't just happen in one blow up fight. It took a long time, and slowly it was the right decision, because otherwise it would have been run down and nobody would even dream of talking about it now. So we left at quite a high, whereas the brand stood at its high. It was never a commercial failure, ever. It wasn't like it wasn't doing well, get out you girls. It wasn't that. We left. It could have gone on and on and on, and would have done brilliantly. But c'est la vie, you know, it is what it is.
In beauty, there's highs and lows. What kind of keeps you grounded when it gets chaotic?
I think part of it might be a little bit in my own nature, but also I have worked for a long time, so it's you acquire that professionalism. And I'm part of team, so I'm not by nature one that keeps adding petrol to the fire. It's in my nature to think, okay, this shit's going on. How can we just make this a bit better for everyone? I'm not going to have a shitty day just because somebody decided to throw one down. Let's make the best of it, and let's do so you get to the bottom of it. And when I was younger and inexperienced, you couldn't open your mouth, but now I do, because what's the worst going to happen? I'm going to say, look guys, can we sort this out, because we need to have a good, let's find a solution, not keep throwing and making it worse. But I also am very passionate and I have things, so I do have a bit of a potty mouth, so I do swear, but not at someone, but I just go, and then I calm down, and then like let's sort this out. So there is all of that, and it's usually the very shitty little things that get me thrown. Big things, I'm able to be calm and address it, and I do that at work, and that is your professionalism. It's become second nature. My husband does laugh. He goes, if they could only see you getting all like wound up about this dishwasher or something or whatever. And it is the small things that niggle me, and the big things I'm able to cope.
And do you feel like those things have prepared you for your later venture, which is obviously...
I think the whole of my working experience brings you down to somewhere, because I think as a human being, we evolve. Nobody just stands at one spot and that is all they are. You learn, you're constantly evolving. And when I decided to launch Ruby Ruby Hammer. So this brand that bears my name, it was in 2019, September 2019. So not known a few months later, we're going to have this pandemic that's going to come and give everyone on the planet a good kicking.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So, but I just looked up and there's a lot of noise. You know, there were so many other brands. All the social media was kicking off, all of that, this Instagram, Twitter, all of these things are going. I didn't want to do, again, what I'd done with Ruby and Millie. Or I looked around and I thought, my God, Fenty has this, Charlotte Tilbury has that, this one has it. And I thought, well, what are you going to add to all that noise? So it's very, very measured that I'm going to have a small curated thing that I know is going to help you, is going to work for you.
And it's like capsule collection.
Exactly. And it can grow with shade extensions or if and when it needs it, but it's not just throwing it all there. Plus I'm self-funded again, so I don't have the luxury of just having 50 different shades and this and that. But I've always said that this brand is as well as, not instead of. So you can use it in your kit with what else you've got and as a person in your bag, because I don't care what anyone says. Nobody uses one thing from one brand and that is all they use. They don't. They don't. Whenever you see something new, you're going to, whether you like it or not, you're going to want to be tried and you're going to be excited about it.
Yeah, definitely. And what kind of advice do you give to people that want to launch a brand?
Think 20 times, because it's very, very, very time consuming, takes the whole of your effort every which way. You know, be prepared to lose sleep and worry, not only the money you've got to pay. It's, you really got to know this is what I want to do, so that all, you know, if you do a page and it's got its pros and cons and what you should do and not, don't do it to think, oh, I can make money off this, or I can make a better version of what somebody else, I'm copying them, I'll just do the same. Really think it through, because there's going to be some amazing highs and some dreadful lows. So you must want to do that and think things through, like what is unique about what is it you're trying to do. What are you trying to do in that marketplace in your field?
It's a big investment, time,
yeah,
money.
It's everything. Your whole life will go upside down.
Yeah.
Because it will. And you need that energy. You have to give it your all at the start. And then if your team grows and all that, then you might have a bit more help. But if you're the founder, the buck stops there, doesn't it? So you need to know there's no recourse. Oh, so-and-so will deal with it. No, it comes with it.
Yeah. So talk to me about the capsule collection and talk to me about what was your kind of thinking behind it all?
Again, it was just to keep it small, to keep it, you know, I was still a jobbing artist. It was still, how am I going to do it? That I looked around and there's so much noise. Am I just going to be some duff noise in this big loud atmosphere, not making any, you know, just disappearing in it. So the first things we did were the magnetic brushes, which are
I think are pretty
so
iconic.
it was just like, you know, like that it clicked into place.
Yeah.
And it was good that it was with the pandemic, so it was hygienic, it was reapplicable, and I thought it'd be good for travel, but we weren't able to travel. I thought it'd be good for you at work and we weren't able to go to work. All these things, but it didn't matter because it rode that course, and now you can see that it helps and it's strategically applied. I don't have big, huge brushes. You need some extra ones, but the ones I had helped do that.
But they're also very handbag essential.
I feel they're your essential. So whether you want to choose to put it in your handbag or put it in your desk drawer or take it away with you on your travels, or you are a bride and you load up the little bit of lip colour on the lip brush and leave it in, or you're going out for the night and that's what you want to do in your teeny weeny bags that seem to be the fashion right now.
I was going to say the bags are getting smaller, so the products...
In all of those things, it will work. It's a very modern but timeless essentials that I think within other things you can use them. Like if you use the lip serum balms, they are all our customers, the kind of reviews they leave about how comforting it feels. It's a little bit softer, but that's what gives it the quality and that nourishes and hydrates your lips. And I could have made it a bit harder, but I thought, you know what? I like the way that feels. So if I educate someone to know, don't twist it right up to the top because it will snap. don't leave it out in the sun, but realise that it does have a bit of sheen. You can blend it up, you can use it with something else, you can blot it to make it a bit more matte, but it's got hybrid qualities, you know, lovely skincare qualities that give the payoff of colour.
I love as well that you can tap it on with your fingers.
It's really
blends,
nice, yeah.
and you can go.
And same with the cheek colours. You can, you know, they're multi-purpose usage. I've thought about it like an artist where, yes, it's kind of semi-mattish, but if you wanted a bit more of a dewier finish, you just prep the skin beforehand, you know, with a drop of oil, a bit more moisture, and you'll get that. But you can also make it more matte, and it means that it's long-lasting, so you won't have to keep reapplying every 5 seconds.
Yeah, no, I love it. So your products are stocked in Harvey Nicks?
Not now.
Well, they were though.
They were before the pandemic. They were,
Yeah.
and then it all went a bit pear-shaped everywhere.
Yeah.
So now they are direct to consumer on our website, on Amazon. We have lovely niche beauty in Europe. We have Crush Concept, which is like in Norway and Sweden and places like that. We're in Canada, which is Living Beauty. So there are lots of places and avenues it's open to. But I really want to reach out to our British retailers, to our Liberties and Marks and Spencers and Boots, all those of the world, to say, oi, I'm a British female founder. Are you guys mute?
Yeah.
Come on. Not, you know, like, yes,
Yeah.
it's a small collection. So sometimes they think it's not big enough, but I'm like, that's a deliberate concept. You guys are going to have to stop thinking the way it has always been retail.
Yeah.
The new way is to actually, is like buying a cashmere sweater that you use again and again, and it's the right one for that. And then you do other things. So you educate and do that. And you don't have to have just that for the sake of filling up aisles and bays.
Definitely.
So I just want to, please, if you're
I
listening.
know, we need to give a shout out.
Yeah, big shout out.
Big shout out.
I need the contract, not just the shout out.
Yeah, well, the contract comes next.
Yes.
So I've got a couple of little kind of quick fire questions for you. And the first one is, what is a small thing that you do every day that makes a big difference?
I think when I first wake up, I give thanks. I'm alive. I'm breathing.
Gratitude.
And then I reach over, and if my husband is in town, I go, yeah, thank God he's all right. And then I just do one for my family and friends and everyone out there that, please, you know, so I give thanks. I do say, okay, there's another day, and I hopefully see the end of it.
Gratitude. And
yeah,
thank you for being here. It's so lovely, isn't it? And then one thing young people worry about that they absolutely don't need to.
Oh my God, sometimes it might be their appearance or looks, and it's normal. It's normal. We all did. But I feel I'm 63 now, and I'll be 64 at the end of the year. It gradually comes, and it really does mean it, that it's not just about the outer. You need to nurture what's in there. So just do that, like take care of the whole of you. So your brain, your physique, what you enjoy, your passions, hanging out, doing what it is that you like doing. Not like, oh, I've got to do that. I've got to earn this money. I've got, you know, actually liberate yourself from that, because you're going to get to a stage in the age when you realise it doesn't matter. I've got to do what I want.
If you could put a message on every mirror in the world, what would it say?
You are enough.
Oh, love that.
We're all unique. There's 8 billion people on this planet. And yes, we might have features we share, or colourings, or hair, this or that. But every single one person is unique. And we were put on this planet, and there's people are leaving because they're passing away, and there's new ones being born. In the end, we're all unique. So you are enough.
It's very true. I love that message. And then at the end of every podcast, we do a ride or die product of all time. You can do a couple if you want, and it goes in a giveaway for the end of the series, so someone's going to win some products. What would be your product?
For me, it would be my Ruby Hammer Berry Lip Serum Balm, just because it's my neutral. It's the one that I don't even do it just to add colour. I just do it because of the comfort it gives me, and then I blur it away. It's nothing, or then I use it again if I want more. But the thing that I think is that cross between a mascara and a concealer, because it's as though this hits your lips, but a mascara does your eyes. It's amazing because it doesn't have to be lengthening and voluminous and looking like they're fake lashes, but it's what brings your eyes out.
Yeah.
And then that bit of lip is just, it's comforting. I've got such dry, scuzzy, those are my two.
Well, do you know what we'll put? Because I think the magnetic brush is iconic. We need to put that in the bag as well.
You can.
We
you know
will,
what?
we'll add it all.
I'm hoping you would say that. Then I don't have 3. But nothing else exists out there from any other brand. So to be honest, yes, should be in there. And because it's red, everyone's bag is a black hole.
Yeah.
So in that signature red, because it's got a little bit of metallic in it, you'll find it.
Oh, I love it, honestly. Oh, Ruby, thank you so much.
Thank
for
you,
coming on the
Lana.
podcast.
I've
It's been
really
amazing.
enjoyed it. I hope your listeners and viewers
I'm sure they're going to
find
love
something good in there.
it. Definitely will. I am so glad we had Ruby on. She was a complete bucket list guest for this series. She's done so much for the beauty industry, and hearing her reflect and talk about it all was really special. You can find her and all of her products linked in the show notes, and you can come and join us on socials too. All the handles are in the description. If this episode resonated with you, or if you're loving the series, don't forget to hit follow or subscribe wherever you're listening or watching, and we'll see you next time in the makeup chair.